If you're considering doing the VA Streamline refinance right now, I have 7 reasons why you need to consider not doing it so you don't find yourself making a very costly mistake. The first reason why you need to consider not doing the Streamline refinance is going to be the costs associated with doing it. You see, when you are getting a loan, whether that is purchasing a property or refinancing a property, there are closing costs associated with it. If you recall, when you bought your property, you had potential upfront costs that you had to pay. Now, maybe you did not pay those costs yourself and you got a credit from maybe the seller, your lender, or your realtor, but closing costs are inevitable and they are involved in every form of transaction. And why it's important to understand that when you're doing a refinance is that your closing costs are actually not going to be required to be paid up front. They can be rolled into the loan. And while this can be a very nice benefit when doing a refinance, it can cause it to be a little bit more overlooked because it's not money that you feel or see leaving your bank account on the day that the loan closes. It's rolled into the loan, which thus kind of more becomes a little bit more out of sight, out of mind with homeowners. So what you want to make sure you are understanding about that amount that is getting rolled into your loan balance is how it's going to actually affect you in the long term, which leads us to our second point, minimal net tangible benefit. You see, there's some very strict guidelines around Streamline refinances that lenders must follow in order to protect you, the veteran. And this was in place to simply look out for your best interest. One of the biggest net tangible benefits that exists is going to be the interest rate and how much it must reduce from whatever the veteran's current interest rate is. So for an example, if your current interest rate is 7%, the VA states that your interest rate must be at least 6.5% or less when you're getting your new interest rate. So the rule around this is going to be that you must see your new rate be at least 0.5% lower than whatever your current rate is. Now, sure, that 0.5% rule is a great thing to follow, but personally, I like to see it come down a little bit more than that. I would like to see it come down at least 3/4 to even potentially a full point to really make the net tangible benefit be maximized. Hey, before I get into the rest of the video, I needed to let you know about our free VA loan guide. In that guide, you will find information on how to use the VA loan not only for the first time, but also how to refinance the VA loan, how to have multiple VA loans at the same time, how to use it to build generational wealth, how to even use it to build a dream home or a construction loan. All of that is in our free VA loan guide that is linked in the description down below. So check it out. Our third reason is going to be recuperation or break even. And this kind of ties back into our first reason, and that's going to be around the overall amount it's going to take for you to recuperate any costs that were rolled into the loan. You must be able to recuperate or break even on those costs within 36 months. Now, my other personal rule around this is I feel like 36 months is a long time. A lot can change in someone's life in 3 years. And if you're increasing someone's overall loan balance and it's potentially going to take that veteran 36 months to recuperate or break even on that, sure, they may be saving money every single month on their monthly payment, but it does not actually help the veteran long-term be able to maximize their situation because maybe they want to refinance again if rates continue to go down. Well, they could find themselves losing money as time goes on because that's just more and more cost that gets added up here. So personally, my rule of thumb is I like to see that net tangible benefit or recuperation and break-even cost be 24 months or less at the very most, ideally 18 months, and then I really say it's a slam dunk deal. Fourth reason for why you should not do a Streamline refinance is going to be if you are planning to sell soon. And what I mean by soon is really within the next about 12 months. Sure, I have seen cases where people did refinance within 12 months. They recuperate and break even on those costs within that period. But if you're going to do that, you want to tread lightly, make sure that it's legitimately a large amount of savings for it to make sense because it is going to tap into the equity that you could potentially be making when you actually do sell the house within that rough 12-month period. Which leads us to our fifth reason, and that is going to be limited savings. When it comes to limited savings, what I mean by this is going to be just the simple comparison to what you are currently paying every single month versus what you will be paying every single month with your new loan. When you look at that, you want to get an idea for how much less you are going to be paying for that new loan. So that way you can get an idea of maybe how much money that you're going to have extra in your pocket for other lifestyle expenses, or also how much extra money that you'll have in your pocket that you can now start throwing to your principal balance. For example, maybe your current monthly payment is $2,500 and you're going to now see your new payment being $2,000. That's a $500 savings that you're going to have, which could be really good for a lot of people. And now you'll be in a position to either A, take that money and put it elsewhere, or B, if you have the means to do it, continue making the $2,500 payment just towards your new loan of a $2,000 obligation. What you're now going to have the ability to do is take that $500 and apply it towards the principal balance to allow you to pay the loan off even quicker and possibly speed up your recuperation or break even period because you're paying down the loan balance with that $500 much quicker, and it's all going towards the principal. Our sixth reason around why you should not refinance is going to be planning for future rate drops. A big mistake that I have seen veterans making when doing a refinance is picking the person that's showing them the lowest rate available. What this often causes them to do is overpay because they see someone offering a very low rate, but potentially at a larger cost. Now, you probably are understanding where I'm going with this as you have watched the video and how I broke down all of those things that get rolled into the loan, so I won't dive back into that. But the reason this is extremely important to understand here is that when you are paying more for a rate, this is only pushing back your recuperation period. Sometimes picking the rate that comes in at a lower cost but still allows you to save a large chunk of money is a great play because your recuperation and break-even period gets moved up, which means that when rates continue to go down, what you're now going to do is maximize the Streamline refinance by using it multiple times in a strategic fashion. So that way you're maximizing as the market continues to go down. Now, if you're thinking, well, Josh, why don't I just wait until rates actually hit the floor? This is where you could actually find yourself even wasting money by waiting to refinance. Because you see, if you were waiting for rates to hit the floor, no one actually knows where the floor actually is. If you go back to the period where rates were at the historic lows, 2020, 2021, when we saw people getting interest rates in the twos, this season was actually very unexpected. No one actually saw that coming. So there were people who purchased homes in 2017, 2018, 2019, and even prior to that, that had interest rates over 5.5% and 6%, just like we're seeing in this current climate. The people that took advantage of the season the right way was the ones that did not try to wait for the absolute floor, because the floor did not come right away. It actually took quite a bit of time to get there. So there were situations where people were lowering their rate 1 point to even sometimes 2 points in certain situations. But what they also saw was it coming in at very minimal to no cost to do it, which means their recuperation and break-even period was extremely short. What then would happen is as lower rates became available over time, they were able to refinance again, saving even more money. Had they kept the original loan that they would have had up front and just waited for the floor, they cost themselves significantly more money by waiting because they're making a much larger payment on a larger loan balance because they didn't pay it down as quickly as they would have by doing the refinance. Our seventh and final reason why you should consider not doing a Streamline refinance right now is going to be lengthening your loan term. You see, when you are doing a refinance, the current loan that you have actually gets paid off and closed, which means you are now restarting with a new 30-year fixed mortgage. Now, sure, there are options out there where you can actually get lower terms, but the reason why this is a big fear for people is because they're thinking, man, it's going to take me much longer to pay my home off, which is also where I can flip this to actually being a pro versus it being a con. You see, if you have, for example, 27 years left on your mortgage at the current payment, you're now going to have 30 years left on it at your new payment. What you want to actually look at if paying the home off faster is important to you is going to be figuring out how much money you are going to save from what you're currently paying every month to what you will be paying. And then the difference between those two payments is going to be extra money that you can continue to pay on the new mortgage, thus allowing you to pay it off in less than 30 years. I have actually seen many situations where we have helped veterans save money on their mortgage and also pay off their new 30-year term faster than they would have with the old term. In order to protect yourself, compare them and then look and see how much quicker you could potentially pay it off. And if it makes sense, then don't stress so much about that new 30-year term, because more than likely you're not going to keep it for 30 years anyway. The last thing I want to leave you with, and it's the most important thing, and that's going to be Jesus loves you and he paid the ultimate price for your life. So if you turn to him, trust in him, and believe in him, he has a beautiful plan and purpose for you.